how would you show structural details on the plans for lintels or beams in your particular example? What about any other section details? Would these have to be reflected in the 3D model? Okay, so structural details on the plans for lintels or beams in your particular example. What about any other section details? Okay, good question. This is something that I'm definitely familiar with. If I go back into SketchUp, click on, okay, let me slow down here. So the question is that how do we show like structural details? Do we put these structural details into the model? Do we actually model every little piece of it specifically for like lintels and beams? And then another question following that up of like a 2D construction detail, how do we show that? So let's take a look. I'm going to click on design, and that's going to bounce me back out to this kind of full 3D mode. Okay, so let's just make up a scenario here. I'm going to hide my roof, like a lintel that's going to go above your windows. So let me just make up a scenario. Let's just pretend like I'm going to hide my windows for a moment, and I'm going to edit these, and I'm going to do push-pull like that. And we're going to clean this up, and then we're going to go back to our windows here. And rather than having 3 separate windows, we're going to make a copy here like that and do it 2 times. And, you know, we'll do one more copy. Do 4 windows, select them all, scale them, and snap it, and then they all rebuild together. Okay, so now we've got like one big window, right? But in order to have that one big window, we would really need like, you know, a structural piece above. So I don't, this is, I don't always draft to this detail, but maybe I would do something like I would scale this, make it like, you know, 8 inches, okay? And we're gonna push-pull this through and maybe push this back by like 3 inches, and I'll push this one back by 3. I'm just thinking of like this old construction that I have on my house. All right, so there's my windows, my walls, and then I would just throw like, you know, this kind of 2x beam or whatever's going on, or piece of steel above it. All right, like that. Group it. So what I would do, so I've actually modeled it, because I think what's important to note here is that this is an architectural detail. It's going to show up, you know. It's going to affect the look. If it's not affecting the look, then maybe it doesn't totally need to be modeled. But the idea here is that you're going to model it the way it's going to look, and then we're going to add, we're going to put this on our structural detail, our structural layer. All right, so like this would go on the layer under Entity Info. We'd go to structural, structure, design structure. Now, in order for this to show up though, it's going to have a 2D graphic. So I go into this, hide the rest of the model. This is going to be a group. It's going to be on the layer 3D object. Now, I'm going to have to come up with like, how do I want to represent this? You know, maybe this is only going to be in the, I don't know, in the foundation plan, or really it would probably, like for residential, it would go into the construction plan. You just want like a thick line maybe, or I actually don't know the graphic standard, but whatever it is, you could accomplish it. So let's just do this. I'm going to draw a rectangle over here, like that. All right, this is going to be my 2D, my 2D graphic. I'm just going to kind of scale it like that, and you know, something like that. All right, and then maybe 2D graphics, they're really just going to come up as black and white line weight. So maybe I'll just make a copy of this at like 2 inches and do that like a bunch of times. All right, so this is going to be the look I'm going for. All right, so that's going to be like what represents this piece of steel, or this structural member above. All right, but this guy needs to be, all right, we got our 3D object, and we've got our group, and that is going to be our 2D graphic. All right, so let's take a look at the plans now. So if I look at like my Construction plan, we could go to like construction plan light and just take a look at it. All right, see, our windows are showing up, our doors are showing up, but and actually let me fix my door. I want to hide this. These are actually in my walls, so I need those to be in my doors. Okay, so construction plan 01 light. There we go. Okay, so what I can do is go to my layers, and I can say, like, on my construction plan 01 light, you know, ConDoc automated this process. It laid out all this stuff, all these scenes, flipped a bunch of layers on and off, applied styles, dropped section planes. It automated a ton of work. That is the point of ConDoc, to jumpstart, to get you to a point where then you can make the drawing you really need. So in this case, maybe I want to see like some indication that there's like a piece of a structural piece there. All right, so on construction plan light, I'm going to modify this scene. All right, so I'm going to go into structure and turn that on. So now you're going to see that 2D graphic running by there. All right, but if I click on this, see, it turns that layer back off. I have to tell that scene that it needs to have structure turned on. All right, so to do that, I'm going to go to my scenes dialog. Here's construction plan 01 light. I'm going to update it. Now this is a very common source of confusion, is the difference between properties to save right here, all right, and properties to update right here. I can tell you that properties to save, don't ever touch those. They almost always, like 99% of the time, every scene that you create is going to have properties to save all checked on, and you're never going to uncheck them. Scenes, properties to update in your scene update dialog, these are things that you're going to want to turn off. If I were to update my camera location, that's going to mess up my stacking of the viewports. So I want to turn everything off except for the visible layers. That's the only thing that I wanted to update there. So I'll click on update, and now when I click here, that is on, okay? So I'm going to save this. I'm going to go back into layout, and we're going to go to our other drawing here. Now, what I'm expecting to see is, all right, well, a couple of things. One, I've deleted these chunks of wall. So I think our new smart dimensions are going to get a little confused, but I'm hoping that some of these window dimensions show up and track the model. The other thing we're going to see is a graphic symbol that shows up here. All right, so I need to go to document setup and choose update, and then watch what happens. So it's going to update our model. It's going to drop in our 2D graphic. Let's see what happens with our dimensions. That wasn't too bad. All right. So this guy, we could I would probably just delete these. I would tag them as like one window. It would probably be like one window assembly, I suppose. And then I would go to my dimensions and start here to there. All right. So I hope that's close to what you're looking for. I'm imagining like a thicker line, or I can't remember a set of plans. Off the top of my head, I just can't remember what that graphic symbol is. But the point is that you can do it. It's a 2D graphic, a 3D object, and then just kind of tweak the tweak the layers, tweak the drawings as needed. Beware though that when you start messing with those ConDoc scenes, you really got to know what you're doing with layers, styles, and scenes. Make sure you're fully aware of the ramifications of updating things. But once you understand it, it's really easy. You can build all of your own drawings, totally bend and break this system and make it exactly what you need.